If you work on your own car, even just basic maintenance, this video will save you money immediately. Today, you're getting 12 Harbor Freight car maintenance tools that consistently outperform more expensive name brand versions. Tools that employees recommend quietly and most people walk right past without realizing how good they are. These are low-budget tools, typically under $30, chosen based on verified buyer reviews, long-term usage feedback, employee recommendations, and real-world reliability. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which Harbor Freight tools are worth owning and which ones replace expensive brands without sacrificing performance. Let's get straight into it. 12. Pittsburgh Pro 3/8 8-inch drive composite ratchet. The Pittsburgh Pro 3/8 8-inch composite ratchet is one of those tools people tend to overlook because it looks simple, but in real car maintenance, simplicity is exactly why it works so well. This ratchet is commonly used for routine jobs like brake service, engine bay fasteners, underbody work, and interior hardware. The composite handle reduces overall weight compared to traditional all-steel ratchets, and that difference becomes noticeable during longer work sessions, when hand and wrist fatigue start to matter. Buyers consistently mention that the ratcheting mechanism stays smooth over time. The teeth engage cleanly without slipping, and the handle remains comfortable even when your hands are oily or you're wearing gloves. Those details make a real difference when you're working in tight spaces and need controlled movement rather than brute force. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this ratchet quietly to DIY car owners building a basic maintenance kit. The recommendation usually comes down to forgiveness. A lighter ratchet is easier to control at awkward angles, which reduces the chances of rounding fasteners or slipping into nearby components. What surprises many owners is how quickly this becomes their go-to ratchet instead of a backup. Reviews frequently mention that more expensive ratchets end up sitting unused because this one simply does the job without drawing attention to itself. This tool matters now because modern engine bays are tighter than ever, and reducing fatigue makes routine maintenance faster, safer, and less frustrating. Next up is a tool designed for situations where finesse isn't enough and controlled leverage becomes the priority. 11. Icon 1-2-inch drive breaker bar. The Icon 1-2-inch drive breaker bar is built for the moments when a standard ratchet simply isn't enough. This is the tool that comes out when fasteners are seized, over-torqued, or bonded by years of corrosion. In everyday car maintenance, this breaker bar is commonly used for lug nuts, suspension bolts, axle hardware, and stubborn underbody fasteners. The long handle provides controlled leverage without needing sudden force, which helps prevent rounded bolts and broken tools. Owners consistently mention how solid this breaker bar feels under load. There's very little flex, even when significant pressure is applied, and the pivot head stays tight instead of developing play over time. That stability is what separates a reliable breaker bar from one that feels questionable the moment real torque is applied. Harbor Freight employees often point people toward the Icon version, specifically when they expect repeated heavy use. It's not about flashy design, it's about predictable strength and the confidence that the tool won't fail when you're leaning into it. Many buyers note that after adding this breaker bar to their kit, they stop reaching for cheaper or more complicated alternatives. The simplicity works in its favor, especially during suspension or wheel work, where consistency matters more than speed. This tool matters now because modern vehicles often combine high torque specs with fasteners exposed to road salt and moisture, making controlled leverage a necessity rather than a luxury. Next up is a tool that saves time during one of the most common maintenance jobs people do at home. 10. Quinn Automotive oil filter pliers. The Quinn Automotive oil filter pliers are one of those tools you don't think about until an oil filter refuses to come off, and then nothing else in your toolbox suddenly matters. These pliers are designed to grip spin-on oil filters securely without slipping. The jaws are shaped to bite evenly around the filter body, which makes a big difference when dealing with filters that were over-tightened at the factory or during a previous service. In real-world use, owners mention that these pliers succeed where strap wrenches and rubber grips fail. The long handles provide leverage without needing excessive force, and the grip stays consistent even when the filter is slick with oil. Harbor Freight employees often recommend these pliers quietly to customers who mention doing their own oil changes, especially on trucks and SUVs where filter placement is awkward and access is limited. One good tool replaces the need to keep multiple filter wrenches around. Buyers also point out that the pliers are durable enough to be used repeatedly without the jaws losing their bite or the pivot loosening. That's why many people keep them in easy reach instead of buried at the bottom of a drawer. This tool matters now because oil filter access on modern vehicles is rarely convenient, and having a reliable way to remove stubborn filters saves time, mess, and frustration. Next up is a tool that solves a problem most people don't realize they're creating during routine brake work. 9. Pittsburgh Disc Brake Piston Tool Set. The Pittsburgh Disc Brake Piston Tool Set addresses one of the most common hidden problems in DIY brake work: improper piston retraction. Many brake issues don't come from bad parts, but from how the caliper piston was pushed back during installation. This tool set is designed to apply even, centered pressure across the piston face, allowing it to retract smoothly into the caliper bore. That even pressure helps protect the internal seals, which are easily damaged when force is applied at an angle using clamps, pliers, or pry bars. In real use, this becomes especially important on vehicles with larger caliper pistons, where resistance increases as the piston moves inward. Buyers often mention that the tool makes the retraction process feel controlled instead of forced, which reduces the risk of cracking dust boots or scoring the piston surface. Harbor Freight employees regularly point new brake DIYers toward this kit because brake problems caused by improper piston compression don't show up immediately. A brake job can feel successful at first, only to develop uneven pad wear, dragging brakes, or overheating a few weeks later. This tool helps prevent those issues before they start. Owners also appreciate that the kit includes multiple plates and adapters, allowing it to work on a wide range of vehicles without modification. That flexibility matters for people maintaining more than one car or planning to keep the tool long-term. Another overlooked benefit is control. Using a proper piston tool allows the user to feel resistance changes as the piston moves, which can reveal early signs of a sticking caliper or contaminated brake fluid. That feedback is completely lost when brute force methods are used. This tool matters right now because modern brake systems rely on tighter tolerances and lighter components. Small mistakes during maintenance can lead to noise, vibration, or reduced braking efficiency, all of which are far more expensive to fix later. Next up is a tool that helps you diagnose problems before you start throwing parts at a warning light. 8. Zurich Code Reader. The Zurich ZR4S OBD2 code reader is one of those tools that changes how you approach car problems once you own it. Instead of guessing or replacing parts blindly, it gives you clear information before you spend time or money. This scanner is designed for basic diagnostics, which is exactly what most car owners need. It reads and clears engine and emissions-related trouble codes, displays freeze frame data, and shows live sensor information without requiring a phone, an app, or a subscription. In everyday use, owners mention how quickly it boots up and connects to the vehicle. There's no pairing process, no updates to manage, and no learning curve. You plug it in, turn the key, and the information is there. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this model to people who are dealing with a check engine light for the first time. It provides enough data to make informed decisions without overwhelming the user with advanced features that don't add value for basic maintenance and troubleshooting. Buyers also appreciate the clear screen and straightforward menus. Reading codes and live data is easy even in bright daylight, which matters when you're working outside or in a driveway. Another reason this tool earns long-term use is reliability. Reviewers frequently mention that it continues to work across multiple vehicles without glitches, making it a practical tool for households with more than one car. This tool matters now because modern vehicles generate warning lights for issues that range from minor to serious. Having a code reader allows you to understand the difference before you take the next step. Next up is a tool that helps make sure fasteners are tightened correctly, not just tightly. 7. Icon 3 8-inch drive Torque wrench. The Icon 3/8-inch drive Torque wrench is one of those tools that quietly prevents expensive mistakes, tightening fasteners by feel works until it doesn't. And when torque matters, precision is more important than strength. This torque wrench is commonly used for wheel hardware, brake components, and engine fasteners, where over-tightening can strip threads or warp parts. The click mechanism is firm and clearly felt, which helps prevent accidental over-torquing during routine maintenance. Owners consistently mention that the wrench feels solid and predictable in use. The handle markings are easy to read, the adjustment mechanism stays in place, and the tool doesn't feel vague or mushy when it reaches its set torque. Harbor Freight employees often recommend the Icon version to people who plan on doing their own maintenance long-term. It offers better consistency than entry-level torque wrenches, without forcing buyers into professional-level pricing that doesn't add practical value for home use. Another advantage is confidence. Using a proper torque wrench removes guesswork from jobs where accuracy matters, which leads to fewer redos and fewer damaged parts over time. If this kind of straightforward, practical breakdown is helpful, take a second to like the video and subscribe. It helps more DIY car owners find tools that actually work without wasting money. This tool matters now because modern vehicles use more aluminum components and tighter torque specifications than ever before, making proper torque essential rather than optional. Next up is a tool that protects fasteners before damage even has a chance to happen. 6. Quin hex and Torx socket set. The Quin hex and Torx socket set is one of those purchases that doesn't seem exciting until it saves you from stripping a fastener that would have turned into a much bigger problem. Modern vehicles rely heavily on Torx and internal hex fasteners, especially in brake assemblies, engine components, and interior hardware. This socket set is designed to handle those fasteners properly, with straight alignment and full contact that hand keys and worn bits can't provide. In real use, owners mention that using sockets instead of L keys gives them better control and more even torque. That reduces cam out, which is one of the main reasons Torx fasteners get damaged during maintenance. Harbor Freight employees often point people toward the Quin set because it offers a balance between durability and affordability. The sockets are impact rated, which adds strength even when used with hand tools, and the sizing covers the fasteners most commonly found on modern vehicles. Another benefit is depth. These sockets reach recessed bolts that shallow bits struggle with, which makes a difference in tight engine bays or underbody locations where access is limited. This tool matters now because manufacturers are using Torx and hex fasteners more aggressively than ever, and having the right socket prevents damage before it starts. Next up is a simple tool that quietly makes one of the messiest maintenance jobs easier. 5. Pittsburgh Low-Profile Oil Drain Pan. The Pittsburgh low-profile oil drain pan fixes a problem that shows up the moment you slide under a modern car. Clearance is tighter than it used to be, and tall drain pans no longer fit where they need to. This pan is designed to slide easily under low-clearance vehicles, including sedans and cars with factory aero panels. The wide opening increases the margin for error when oil drains at an angle or shoots out farther than expected. Owners frequently mention how much cleaner oil changes become once they switch to a low-profile pan. Less splashing means less oil on the floor, fewer rags, and less cleanup after what should be a simple job. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this pan to people who say they're tired of making a mess during oil changes. The built-in pour spout also makes transferring used oil easier and more controlled, especially when dumping into narrow recycling containers. Another overlooked benefit is stability. The wider base helps prevent tipping when the pan is full, which reduces the chance of spills while pulling it out from under the vehicle. This tool matters now because modern underbody designs make oil drain direction less predictable, and a pan that's shaped for low clearance saves time and frustration every single oil change. Next up is a tool that replaces one of the most common causes of interior damage during DIY work. 4. Quin trim and fastener removal tool set. The Quin trim and fastener removal tool set replaces one of the most common bad habits in DIY car work, using screwdrivers where they don't belong. Modern vehicles rely heavily on plastic clips and pressure-fit panels, especially in door panels, dashboards, engine covers, and underbody trim. Using metal tools to remove those parts almost guarantees broken clips, scratched surfaces, or both. This set is designed with rigid but non-marring plastic that applies force evenly without digging into trim. In real use, owners mention noticeably fewer broken fasteners and much cleaner panel removal compared to improvised tools. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this set to anyone planning interior work, stereo installs, or basic engine bay access. It's one of those tools that prevents damage rather than fixing it, which saves money and frustration over time. Another advantage is leverage. The different shapes allow you to get under clips from the correct angle, reducing the force needed to release them. That makes removal quieter, smoother, and far more controlled. This tool matters now because interior trim pieces are thinner and more clip-dependent than ever, and replacement fasteners add up quickly when they break. Next up is a small tool that plays a big role in accuracy and engine performance. 3. Pittsburgh Feeler Gauge Set. The Pittsburgh Feeler Gauge set is one of those small tools that only gets attention when precision actually matters. It's most commonly used for spark plug gap checks, valve clearance measurements, and sensor spacing, all of which directly affect how smoothly an engine runs. What separates a usable feeler gauge from a frustrating one is consistency, and this set delivers that where it counts. The blades are evenly cut and maintain uniform thickness, which allows them to slide between surfaces without catching or flexing. That makes it easier to feel the correct amount of drag, which is the entire point of using a gauge in the first place. Owners often mention that the blade markings remain readable after repeated use. That sounds minor, but during maintenance, quickly identifying the correct thickness prevents mistakes and speeds up the process, especially when you're working in low light or awkward engine bay positions. Another advantage is how the blades pivot. The tension is firm enough to keep unused blades out of the way, but not so stiff that adjusting becomes annoying. That balance helps maintain accuracy, particularly during valve checks, where slight changes in angle can affect readings. Harbor Freight employees regularly recommend this set for basic maintenance because it avoids the common issues found in ultra-cheap feeler gauges, such as warped blades, loose pivots, or inconsistent spacing. It's accurate enough for routine automotive work without pushing users into specialty tools they don't need. Buyers also point out that the steel resists bending better than expected, which helps preserve accuracy over time. A feeler gauge that bends easily stops being trustworthy, and that's where many low-quality sets fail. This tool matters now because modern engines rely on tighter tolerances than older designs. Small deviations in gap or clearance can lead to misfires, poor idle quality, increased wear, or diagnostic trouble codes that are easy to avoid with proper measurement. Next up is a tool that helps you confirm whether an electrical issue is simple or something that needs deeper attention. 2. AIMS Automotive Multimeter. The AIMS Automotive Multimeter is one of those tools that immediately changes how you approach electrical problems. Instead of guessing whether a battery, fuse, sensor, or ground is bad, you can actually confirm what's happening before replacing anything. This multimeter is commonly used for checking battery voltage, testing alternator output, verifying continuity in wiring, and diagnosing blown fuses. For basic car maintenance, those checks cover a large percentage of electrical issues people encounter. Owners frequently mention how easy the display is to read, even in low light. The dial layout is straightforward, which reduces mistakes when switching between voltage, resistance, and continuity tests. That simplicity is especially important for DIYers who don't use a multimeter every day. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this meter to beginners because it provides reliable readings without overwhelming features. It does what most people actually need without adding complexity that leads to confusion or misuse. Another benefit is durability. Buyers report that the meter holds up well to garage use, including occasional drops and temperature changes. The leads maintain good contact, which is critical for getting accurate readings during testing. Using a multimeter also helps prevent unnecessary part replacement. Being able to confirm whether power is present or a circuit is complete can save hours of work and significant expense, especially when tracking down intermittent issues. This tool matters now because modern vehicles rely heavily on electrical systems, and even simple maintenance tasks increasingly involve sensors, wiring, and electronic controls. Next up is the final tool on the list, and it's one that quietly replaces several others once it's in your hand. 1. Icon Flex Head Ratchet. The Icon Flex Head Ratchet is the kind of tool that doesn't look revolutionary until you actually start using it in a modern engine bay. Once you do, it quickly replaces several other ratchets in your toolbox. This ratchet is designed with a locking flex head that allows the user to adjust the angle for access around hoses, brackets, wiring, and frame components. That flexibility matters in tight spaces where a straight ratchet simply can't swing. Owners consistently mention how smooth the ratcheting action feels under load. The mechanism engages cleanly, and the flex head holds its position instead of flopping around, which maintains control when you're working at awkward angles. Harbor Freight employees often recommend this ratchet to people who complain about limited access during maintenance. The flex head reduces the need for extensions and universal joints, which speeds up work and reduces frustration. Another advantage is efficiency. By changing the head angle instead of switching tools, users stay focused on the task instead of constantly repositioning their hands. That saves time on jobs that involve repeated fasteners in confined areas. Many buyers note that after adding this ratchet to their kit, it becomes their default choice for engine bay work. More expensive ratchets often stay in the drawer simply because this one gets the job done faster. This tool matters now because vehicle packaging continues to get tighter, and access, not Torx, is often the biggest challenge during routine maintenance. If you work on your own car, having the right tools makes everything easier, not because they're flashy or expensive, but because they actually do what they're supposed to do without creating new problems. Now you know 12 Harbor Freight car maintenance tools that quietly outperform more expensive options. Tools employees trust, and tools buyers keep using long after the purchase. If this saved you time or helped you avoid wasting money, hit like and subscribe. More practical breakdowns like this are coming.